to our guest co-host today. Familiar face on the show. He's returning. He's here to explain why physical activity can be one of the best tools for developing grit, confidence and emotional control in children and, of course, big grown-ups as well. The welcome it is, of course, to the OT himself, Adam Griffin. Good to have you back with us, Adam. Thanks for joining us.
No, I'm delighted to be here, Tom. Thank you.
Nice to have you. And you know, one thing that I mentioned there, and I wanted to ask you when you came on, we talked about movement in all its guises there, and you know, whether it be physical activity, whether it be a more mental activity or otherwise. What about good old play? Something Ash mentioned when I was just thinking about her child going to the park every single day. Do we sort of lose that connection with play as we get older?
Yeah, there's actually a very famous quote that I've sort of reused a lot, saying that we don't stop playing because we get old because we stop playing. And there's so many quotes you can draw from Einstein and Mr. Rogers about the value of this. And if you look, the experts in play aren't me. I do this for a job. The experts in play are the kids. If you watch kids, give a group of kids a football or a bunch of building blocks or an empty cardboard box and just watch what happens. Because it comes naturally to people, but we almost train ourselves out of that habit and think, like you mentioned before, physical activity is an organized thing. A lot of times people think it almost has to be a hardship as well. It's something you dread, I've got to get to the gym. Kids don't dread playing. It's a victory in and of itself, so we need to recapture that as adults as well.
And how do one finds joy in movement, especially in the heat of the summer?
Oh, that's a lovely question. Well, if you imagine, so the joy is at the end of itself. So if you look at things like, if you said you're going to exercise and go to the treadmill, but you hate going to the treadmill, but you love to dance, or you love to do something it doesn't have to be getting your heart pumping and you're sweating and feel exhausted. It has to be just moving at all, just the joy of moving for its own sake. But once you open the door to opportunities for movement, again, watch the way kids do it. Those are the experts. Then you'll find opportunities for movement and physicality all around you.
Growing up in Dubai, obviously, I grew up in the non-iPad era, and in the summer months, it didn't matter if it was 60 degrees outside. If you don't go outside and play with your friends, run around barefoot, then that means you're just sitting at home doing nothing. And we also didn't have, the amount of access to the kind of TV channels and entertainment that we have today back in the day, in the 90s, growing up in this country. So you either go out and play with your friends or you just stay at home. So my question to you is a little bit more to do with confidence. Does being involved in any kind of physical activity that gives the child a sense of purpose and achievement help build confidence in them?
100%. So something I say a lot in clinic is confidence is this, I describe it as it's an emerging factor. So it's something you develop by doing things, by doing challenging things sometimes. I work with a lot of kids who, for them, they're neurodiverse kids or kids who have motor coordination difficulties, and they see things that come easy to their peers, but it's a real challenge for them, and they have zero confidence because they think this is always going to be difficult for me. When I get them to improve just a little bit, their confidence soars, and then they're almost unstoppable. Then they're a little better the next week and a little better after that. It's just finding these areas where they can develop mastery, but they need to do the thing, work hard, and then see the success and believe it in their bones.
What about one of the big problems of today, and we're seeing it from younger and younger in children at the moment? Anxiety, and of course its friend stress as well. Is movement a counter to that? 100%.
So movement is one of the very few things we have in medicine or healthcare or learning and development where it's almost a universal panacea. It helps everything. So it helps sleep. It helps behavior, it helps attention, it helps academic performance, and it also fundamentally has a happier, more contented young person and child. But not only a child, because if you move and make this something you find joy in your everyday life, I guarantee you'll be happier as well.
And how do we introduce these movements, especially big movements, with children? What age should we start doing that with them?
You just make it part of your, I describe this family zeitgeist. So it's a culture, you be a family who moves, especially if you move together. Because you could have a young person who has access to every game available, but doing something physical with you or with dad or with whoever in the family will be the most interesting thing they do that day, and they'll really look forward to that. But find small ways throughout the day. It's not about signing up for tennis lessons or swimming, and all of that is great. There's a place for that, but also just having the culture of movement within the home and chances to move every day.
My daughter has been going to jiu-jitsu classes, and her most favorite thing to do with her dad is to punch him over the weekend and he can take it, right? He's a 6'2" tall guy. She cannot do the rough and tumble with me because I'm 5'3" petite. She tried one jiu-jitsu move on me and I was flat on the floor on my back and I scraped my knee.
Sure.
So I feel like kids really enjoy a little bit of rough and tumble with their siblings or their parents. Do you think that's quite a bonding experience for the family?
Massively so. I will say your daughter may be playing fast and loose with the rules of jiu-jitsu, she's punching people, but 100%. So it's a lovely and very easily accessible opportunity to have this shared enjoyment, this joyous experience it can be unscripted, it's failure free, there's no way to do it wrong. You're not, no, we didn't do that, we need to do it again. It's just joyous in and of itself, and not only for the kid, but it's joyous for the parent as well, so it's universally lovely when it happens.
Is there a place for non-movement? And this is not me being lazy Tom or anything like that, but I'm just thinking that, from a young age we're taught to sit at the table until we're told to get down, we're told to sit at a desk until the lesson is over. Even into adult life we're told to sit at our desk at work, etc. So how do you find the balance, if you like? Because ordinarily you'd like to keep moving, but at times you've got to stop moving.
Excellent question, and one I get every day of the week. So I'll come in and people will say, Adam, help this child sit still and pay attention. And if you think, okay, how does movement fit into this? The kid who struggles to sit still is a kid who's not getting opportunities to move elsewhere. Imagine it like their nutritional diet. They're starving for physicality. A child right out of the box is a machine made for learning and development. It's made to move. These little muscles it's like a plant that needs water. They need that. So when you have a child who gets opportunities to move, they don't have as much issues with the moments of stillness in their life.
But that's something like I'm always curious about. When I was a kid, I was also very fidgety in my desk. My leg would always have to move. Even as an adult, that happens. So how is physical activity helping with training your brain into kind of controlling that or like doing it in a better way?
If you imagine your brain kind of like a car engine, it's like your brain learns to change gears. When you're driving around Dubai, you're not constantly got your foot to the floor, at least I hope you don't. When you're driving around the little neighborhoods, you're not going the same speed as you do on Sheikh Zayed Road. So it's the same for a young person. They're able to change gears and able to emotionally regulate their physicality to a level that's in line with the context they find themselves.